Drive was never abated.
Well, I don't know that there was ever a mass abatement of San Francisco buildings. Asbestos was being used in construction up into the 70s and even the early 80s. It continued to be used in construction. And most asbestos in buildings has been, the initial approach in most cases is just to encapsulate it and leave it in place.
Except for what's in the soil. What's in the soil here, there's supposedly a lot of asbestos in this, just plain asbestos in the soil.
The only asbestos that is underground here is, to the best of my knowledge, if you know of anything else, Keith, is there are some steam lines that were buried underneath the ground from the old boiler plant, and some of those were insulated with asbestos, but there's, to the best of my knowledge, no buried asbestos from
Dave, do you know anything about elemental asbestos? Is what she's
Elemental?
that would be in the soil. I don't.
No, everything, like you said, it came from the bay. Whatever's in the bay ended up as sub-base material. And then they also brought on a top layer of soil, when they, after the topsoil, correct. When they built the original.
So Andrea, where did you hear something like that? Because that doesn't, it's not, you'll hear things I probably won't hear, but
A couple of industry experts that have come to speak, that I've gone to listen to speak, and
they actually said that without showing you any data of any soil?
well,
That sounds a little funny.
the other thing that comes to mind is I've listened to listened to a chemist talk about what's in San Francisco Bay, and you're saying that you've dredged up soil from the sand from the bottom, and that all of the DDT that was ever used up in the Sacramento River Delta is washing down from there. It's still active DDT. It doesn't break down, and it filters down to the bottom of the bay. And because I swim in the bay. I'm a swimmer. And this person cautioned me never to swim in San Francisco Bay, to cover myself with oil or grease if I'm going to go in this water, to keep things from being absorbed through my skin, which is disturbing because I like to swim. And so, if you're taking stuff off the bottom of the bay, and after hearing him say what's filtering down to the bottom, and even the people that I swim with say don't ever mess with what's in the bottom of the bay because it's filled with toxins, right? So basically, you're telling me that it's even worse than I thought because it's asbestos sand.
I don't think so. I mean, Dave or Keith could speak to, because they're sampling all of the soil here for contaminants of concern, but but in terms of DDT, you've got to remember this was built in 36, 37. I believe DDT was introduced in the late 40s or 50s, so I don't think that's probably was anything that was in the bay. Of course, there were other things that were in the bay, but.
That is very accurate. Yeah, that is accurate. The timeline just sort of puts you out of the DDT time frame.
Yeah.
I don't know if you talked about the fact that Yerba Buena Island was serpentinite rock, which is asbestos, and a lot of the soil on Treasure Island has come from Yerba Buena.
Actually, all Treasure Island was basically built with dredge material, so it did not come from Yerba Buena. The island itself
None of Yerba Buena soil is down here then?
Yerba Buena is majority looks like it was when it was a natural island, and it was not used to create Treasure Island. It's all dredge material.
Do you know if Yerba Buena, have you heard that Yerba Buena Island is serpentinite rock, which is
I'm not
asbestos?
exactly sure which type of rock it is.
Actually, we've taken a look at Yerba Buena, and it is predominantly not serpentine.
What is it?
Really?
I don't know exactly, but it's not serpentine, because actually that was one of the questions that we looked at and had environmental consult go out and do a visual inspection, and they were not able to identify any serpentine rock on Yerba Buena.
Okay, that's interesting. That's useful information.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
No, I mean, there is a lot in San Francisco. A lot of Potrero Hill is serpentine, and there are a lot of other locations in
the
San Francisco.
Bayview there's a lot of
Yeah,
serpentinite
yeah.
rock.
Pier 70 area, there's a lot of serpentine, but we haven't identified any on Yerba Buena Island.
Okay, all right. I want to ask you, Dave, where is Lot 69? Lot 69 appears to be on Site 24.
Correct.
Is that right?
That is correct.
And what do they suspect to be in Lot 69?
We're looking at any storage yard that that could have held, material that could have had maybe a radium button or something like it during recycling activities. Very much like these areas where we're just looking at them since they did recycling activities there. There's no documented history that there's anything actually there, but we just take a look at it to document that there isn't anything.
Because Keith was talking on the van about they're looking at that area for radiation.
Correct. We'll scan it just in case there was something that was left behind during a recycling activity, since it was in use during the late 60s, 70s, when, a gauge could have come through during a recycling activity. But we don't have any actual evidence that that sort of thing actually went on.
So the only radiation that source that you suspect in Lot 69 was from these buttons?
Or anything related to a recycling activity of, scrap metal or things coming through.
And would those have been coming off ships?
Anything related to recycling that the Navy was using. Some of it was ships, some of it was, just other Navy activities.
That were on island already?
Not necessarily. The ships, there was no real maintenance here in the 60s of ships, but just material that could have come through incidentally.
Could you rotate your arm around that same area? I missed it on the map.
The lot, this is the historic lot right there.
Yeah, but where there was possible ship activity.
There wasn't any during the time when this lot was operational. Obviously, the piers, they're berthed to ships, but during World War II, when there was maintenance on ships, that basically ceased after World War II.
Okay, so, all right, I'm trying to figure out when the ships would have come in that might have dumped anything radioactive on Lot 69.
Oh, there's actually no evidence of that. We're just saying
Okay.
that ships have been, coming and going for Treasure Island since it was a Navy base.
Okay, can you show me really quickly, because he's going to start, where the ships would have been coming in?
There were piers all along Treasure Island. I mean, there were piers, and this pier replaces actually 4 piers that were there, and there were piers up here as well.
Okay, so it was all along the side of this side of the island.
Yeah, there were ships.
this
There were
side.
various piers throughout the history along the eastern side of Treasure Island.
Okay, all right.
Generally speaking, not really along the western side.
Okay, all right. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
I have a ton more questions, but we don't have time for them.
Yeah, we're